Hey everybody, it's me again, Shelby with Hooks, Books, and Crime. And it's time for another craft and story time. Now I need to warn you, I broke 2 of my light rings. So I'm using one broken one, the other one's just done. He's just, dead. So you're gonna see my janky little setup. So when you're looking at my face, he can't tell my laptop is actually on top of a Vans box because my desk doesn't have shelves. So I have to prop it up so you can see me. Now for the other screen, you're going to see my body. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry for you. You'll still be able to see me crochet. It's just from a side view rather than an aerial view. Next episode will be better. I haven't produced anything. Life has been lifing hard lately. Hard. It's ridiculous. It's been very stressful. The only thing is I got my hair done finally. I needed a cut. Let me take my headphones off for you real quick. I finally got my hair cut. I really needed it. I've got my undercut, but I used to hate undercuts. I never understood the point, but it's too damn hot. So yes, undercuts. Go with it if you have a lot of hair. I have way too much fucking hair. So yeah, got my hair done finally, but other than that, life has been so fucking trials and tribulations, right? That's what life is. It's been a bitch. I forgot to turn my light on. Illumination. Ignore this area. I'm so sorry that you can see my body. I really am. But if I turn it, you can see my bad cable management. I share a desk with my man. And I mean, he has so much plugins and amps, and there's so much stuff of his on this desk that I get a little baby space. That's okay though, because really, he does way more, and he actually makes money from his projects. I don't. So obviously he deserves more space than I do. What I'm doing today is I am working still on my little nostalgia piece. I haven't even been able to crochet much lately, so I'm still working on her. I'm super excited. I felt very successful with the Daria. Look at that, man. Just started and already got yarn vomit. It's a little one though, like a little heave, little hairball. But yeah, I'm also talking in my normal voice. That sounds weird to say, but if you worked in customer service, you learn to change your voice. And I worked in banking for 10 years in branch. When I talked like this, I guess I sounded too much like I didn't care. So I learned to make my voice like this. I sound more peppy and excited. And that's what really helped. And I catch myself talking like that all the time. I don't want to talk like that. I'm trying to talk in my normal voice now. And I really need to enunciate my words. Now I understand why nobody understands what the fuck I'm saying. In real life, I talk way too goddamn fast. It's awful. I'm so sorry for you people. It's terrible. But anyway, yeah, working on this. I got a good response from Daria, so I figured I'm just going to keep going with all these iconic I watch a lot of fucking cartoons. All the cartoons I really fucking loved. Some will even be real life. I'm going to do all that. I'm actually going to start working with chenille yarn soon. And I really want to remake Daria in chenille yarn. I just need to start buying, I need to buy supplies for that. I've never worked with it and I want to be prepared. But at the same time, it's Christmas. We have 4 kids. So, priorities. But alright, let's get into it. Now, this story today... Fucking Ohio, man. It's in Ohio again. Why is everything in Ohio? It's such a small state. It's got Texas crime in a tiny state. I don't get it. Insane to me. We are in Lakewood, Ohio. And Janet and Daryl Tyburski, they meet in college and they become a couple. Janet is studying psychology, and Daryl has a very, very promising future ahead of him. He is a pre-law student. He is also quite the football star. He's a big boy. I think from what I saw, he's like 6'3", 6'5", 275, something like that. He's a big boy. And he's talented. He is so talented, actually, that he goes to the Seahawks training camp because he's a prospect for the team. And I'm sorry, this is in 1988. If he goes pro, it's going to open so many opportunities for him and his family. There's a guilt there of not being there for his daughter and missing all of these milestones and just missing seeing her grow, especially when they're newborns. I swear, it's like the saddest thing, even with kids, like when they're bigger, but it's newborns and toddlers specifically, where you see them one day, you put them to bed, and then the next day, they're bigger. You can just tell they're different. Something's bigger, something's older. And it's just so crushing. I honestly believe that nature does this to us to make us want to procreate again. I swear to God. It's so sad. So he's missing all of this. So I have no doubt on days that he's off, he's seeing how much bigger she already is. And there is one little medical hiccup with Rochelle when she's first born. Within her first month, she grows a tumor on the side of her face. When she's about 3 weeks old, she has it surgically removed. Everything's fine aside from this tumor. She's a very healthy baby. And the surgery is a success without any side effects or any later onset issues. Only thing is she has a slight, and I mean slight, deformity on the side of her face. And really, it's just this side's a little bit in. That's all. It's not that big of a deal. I've heard her speak. Her speech is fine. And she seems like a lovely girl. But this apparently does something to Janet mentally. There's probably some guilt, as if she did something wrong while pregnant that led to the tumor. I have no doubt it's something like that, because that's how it is when you're a mom. Anything going wrong, especially with the first one, you think you did something wrong. My daughter had asthma, chronic bronchitis. We were in urgent care once every 6 to 8 weeks. She ended up having surgery when she was 2 years old, and it was so heartbreaking because I really felt like I was failing. There's nothing while I was pregnant I could have done to make her drainage better. So I have no doubt Janet's really struggling with this too. However, it also kind of puts into Janet that Rochelle is feeble. She's a little bit more fragile and, I hate to say it, but kind of weak. I don't feel that way. For any clarification, I don't feel that way. But Janet took it that way. Surgery's done, but Daryl, again, misses the baby too much, wants to be part of the baby's life, wants to be able to witness all these milestones, or at least see as much as he can. And he knows being at the training camp, he's going to miss a lot, and he just can't live with that. So he decides to leave the training camp, and he pursues law and becomes a lawyer. So still, very successful. A promising career with great opportunity for the family. A good way to provide for his family, that's for sure. They settle, and again, they stay in Lakewood. Everything seems to be doing well. He's good at his job. Rochelle's healthy. A few years later down the line, Janet gives birth to another girl, Hannah. Hannah has no ailments, no medical issues. And from witness accounts, she starts saying like, oh, Hannah's perfect. She's perfect. And again, we get it. I think all my babies are perfect. When I had them, they were perfect. Even if there probably was something wrong, they would still be perfect. I loved them so much. I'd like, who cares? They're fucking perfect to me. But with Janet, I'm guessing it's the way she said it. Almost as if like, I did better this time. It was a different kind of she's perfect. There's nothing wrong with this one. So it starts to rub people the wrong way. And at the same time, you have a sympathy there, because if she blamed herself for the first, now if this happens again, she's going to blame herself again. It's almost going to cement this idea that she's doing something wrong if both are born with some type of ailment. I'm sure even if they were different, she would blame herself and take it much harder. But Hannah's a healthy baby. She's thriving. And then 2 years later, they have their third daughter, their final child, which is Paige. And same thing with Paige. But there's something about Hannah and Paige that are like the light of her life. And then there's Rochelle, which I hate moms like that. I fucking hate that. I was that child. I love my mom, but I was that kid. The family's, going along. They're getting by. The girls are doing well. They're social. But Janet just seems to be a big problem in this household. She's very hard to please. And no matter what Daryl does, it's wrong or it's never enough. Never enough. Or she wants this, she doesn't want it anymore. She wants, like, for example, she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and she's, my Spanish was like, chingas, chingas, chingas. But yeah, she's just, she just won't back off, I want it, I want it, I want it. So they make arrangements. She gets to be a stay-at-home mom. And then she's mad and upset and pissed off that she's a stay-at-home mom and she's just at home with the kids. Well, no shit, Janet. They're not called runaround moms. You stay your ass at home. There's grocery, there's things to do. But your ass is going to be home with the kids. It sounds more like she wanted to be a kept woman, not a stay-at-home mom. Two different things. Kept women. I don't want to deal with my kids. Send them to daycare. I don't want to work, though. I just want to be at home by myself. It almost sounds like that's what she wanted. She didn't want to be around her kids. Or at least not all the time. And I get it. It's a lot, especially when they're small. Beggars can't be choosers at that point. And not just that, she is picking fights with Daryl left and right. Any little thing. He's working too late. He's working too long. He's not working enough. She's always mad. She's showing up at his job starting shit. She's accusing him of affairs. Janet's got a whole lot of shit going on in her head. You ever see SpongeBob, where all the SpongeBobs are like running around and there's fires? That's Janet. Something's fucking wrong and something's on fire all the goddamn time, and she needs to start some shit with Daryl. He woke up happy. I gotta start some shit with Daryl. It just sounds so exhausting. And if you're tired from your kids, why the fuck do you have energy to pick fights over everything and anything? I don't get it. Excuse me. Dutch Bros really needs to make me a spokesperson, honest. Yeah. Constantly starting shit with Daryl. Constantly. Never happy. Which is kind of annoying because, that's like the stereotype. Happy wife, happy life. So, obviously, Daryl's kind of miserable because Janet won't shut the fuck up. And, he's a lawyer. He works long hours. Sometimes he gets busy, but nowhere is there anything that says that he was abusive, that he was mentally any type of abusive. He wasn't cheating. He wasn't avoiding her. He wasn't an absent father. Apparently, he was very doting. He loved his girls. He loved having a family. He loved being a dad. So Janet really is starting shit to start shit. Like she's bored. Like her life isn't exciting enough as a mom. Who knows what's going on? But tragedy strikes this family in 1999. On August 24th, Daryl is driving home. He crashes into the marina and he dies. He leaves behind Janet and 3 young girls aged 11, 4, and 2. And this is just tragic, but specifically for Rochelle. You see, Janet really treated Rochelle differently. There was just Rochelle, and then there were Hannah and Paige. She just treated her differently. She loved her differently. So Rochelle preferred to be with her dad. If Daryl was home, Rochelle was going to be with Daryl. She loved her dad. So when her dad passed away, Rochelle took it the hardest. It's almost like her only ally in the house is gone because Hannah and Paige were inseparable. During this grieving process and adjusting to Daryl being gone, Janet wasn't supportive for Rochelle. Rochelle had to grieve on her own. 11 is when you're getting close to being a teenager. So emotions start to get stronger, confusion starts, and she kind of didn't have anybody there for her. Not her mother, at least. She has outbursts over the years. She also starts to get easier to agitate. At one point, she tried to push her grandmother. This girl's acting out, and Janet finally gets her help when really she should have got her help when the father died. 4 and 2, it's not as much to grasp that your father died. At 11, the idea of your dad not coming back, they understand, and she should have got help. When Janet did get her help, Rochelle was diagnosed as bipolar. She was prescribed medication, but that didn't seem to change how Janet treated her. And it got to the point where Janet moved Rochelle into the attic and completely separated her. It was almost like the Ed Kemper thing where Ed Kemper's mom put him in the basement. Janet would put her in the attic, and it's not like she would lock her in there or anything, but it's a fairly good sized house. There's no need for her to be separated that way other than you just don't want to see her. And that's heartbreaking to her. She was 13 when this happened. Like, just the mental chemistry at that age is rough already. And then to be isolated even more in your own house. That girl really needed a friend. And she had friends. And that's even the weirder thing. Friends would come over to Rochelle's house and notice that she's in the attic. You know, weird, cool, but weird. But some of them didn't even know that she had sisters because they never saw them. They never heard them, never saw them. And Janet seems to always be getting on Rochelle for something, to where Hannah and Paige learn pretty quickly that as long as, they kind of stay out of the way and everything, Janet's going to go after Rochelle every time. So over the years, of course, this relationship just gets strained and strained and strained. There doesn't seem to be any sign of mending this bond or coming closer or getting help together. It's like Janet just sees her as a problem. So when she's 17, she moves out. Rochelle moves out. She couch surfs. She goes and hangs out with her friends. She finds her own way. She's working. She does events. She writes poetry. She's very artsy. She loves to create. Eventually, Rochelle meets a man named Tommy. And they seem to really hit it off and they start a relationship pretty quickly. Only thing with this relationship is Tommy is 40 and Rochelle is 20. He's far older than her. He's already at a point in his life where he has an ex-wife and he has a child. And Rochelle hasn't been an adult very long. But Rochelle begins this relationship with Tommy and she gets pregnant quite quickly as well. And this pregnancy alarms Rochelle enough to where she actually goes back to her mom and asks her for help. And surprisingly, Janet wants to help. She's more than willing to let Rochelle come back into her house, give her her and the baby a place to stay. But she has one condition. She cannot be with Tommy. She does not like Tommy. She does not like the age difference. She doesn't think he's good for her. So if Rochelle wants to come and stay there, she wants help with the baby, then Tommy needs to be out of the picture. And Rochelle complies. She moves back into her mom's house, and in 2011, Shelley gives birth to a little boy. And this little boy seems to bring everybody back together. You know, when Shelley was living in there growing up, it was Hannah and Paige in their own little world, and Shelley was a stranger in her own house. And it's not like that this time. Her and Janet are getting closer. Hannah's getting closer. They all come together for this little boy. It's all hands on deck. Everybody's getting along. And this little boy is just getting plenty of love from all sides. And Rochelle seems to be happy. There are some issues here and there. You know, for example, Janet seems to be, she almost like hogs the baby. She doesn't want to turn the baby over to Rochelle, and she wants to be the one caring for the baby at all times. Not that Rochelle is unfit. It's almost like she wanted him to be hers also, to where Rochelle is having to kind of like take her baby back from her all the time, so she can care for him, so she can dote on him. While Rochelle works, the baby stays home with Janet. And Janet seems to prefer that she parent Rochelle's son, even when Rochelle is home, and it kind of causes a rift in the house, but nothing major. And while this is all going on, Hannah is just excelling in volleyball. She's a great player. She's being scouted from colleges, and she ends up going to Oberlin College. And not too long after this, Tommy's ex-wife dies. She passes away. This causes a spiritual awakening within Tommy, and he suddenly decides that he wants to start going to AA. He wants to find his in AA. He's encouraged to connect with his son, to reach out to Rochelle and build a relationship with his little boy. And he does. Rochelle doesn't fight him on it and everything. You know, it's his son. She's never considered him dangerous or anything. He just had his own problems, and at the time it just didn't seem best that he'd be around him. But with Tommy coming back around to build that bond with his son, Rochelle and Tommy end up rekindling that fire, and they start dating again. And Janet's not too thrilled about this, but she lets it go on until Tommy and Rochelle begin looking at apartments together. They want to move in, and Rochelle tells her mom that she plans on moving out of her house, taking her son with her, and her and Tommy getting a home together. And Janet is not happy about this at all. They have this big blowout over it, and as it is, when it's 2014, when Rochelle tells her mom that she wants to move out, Hannah's away at college and Paige is away at college, and they're in two different states. Or Hannah's in Oberlin, which is in Ohio. She's not too far from home, but she's staying over there. And Paige is in a college outside of Ohio. So really, it's just Rochelle, Janet, and the baby. So I don't know if this is where she doesn't want to be alone. It would be her first time alone, and really, since she met Daryl. Or she feels like a sense of ownership over this little boy. It's kind of unclear. We just know she did not want to let him go. March 15th of 2015, in what's called North Ridgeville, Ohio, a man goes to check the progress of a construction site. And there's some snow that's drying, but there's still some piles, and he notices next to one pile of snow is a dead body. This body is half clothed, and her wrists are bound with garbage bags. They run her fingerprints, and this woman has never been arrested. She has no record, so they have no way to ID her. So they have to put it out into the media. Once they put this into the media, they do receive a phone call from a woman, and she tells them that that's her daughter. This woman that calls is Janet Tyburski. Now, once it's out in the open that the girl has been identified as Rochelle Tyburski, the victim, they start getting phone calls from people who know the family and tell them that this was a very turbulent household with Rochelle and Janet. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of them not getting along. So with this information and just the fact that Janet identified her, they go to interview Janet. Janet tells them that the last time she saw Rochelle, she was at her house and told her that Tommy was going to pick her up and she was going to go stay over with Tommy. And then she warns the police about Tommy being a dangerous man. He does carry firearms and that they need to question him with caution. Of course, when police hear this, they're like, okay, well, now we got to go talk to Tommy and at least rule him out, hear what he has to say. So when they approach Tommy, Tommy isn't irritated or he's not hostile towards police when they question him, but he is taken back as to why Janet would tell them that he was with Rochelle, because he wasn't. He tells the police he didn't pick Rochelle up that night. He's not sure why Janet would lie, but she is most definitely lying. Police have already began looking for cameras and surveillance footage of cars that were in and around the area around the time of death. That way they can see, these are kind of rural roads, so they aren't super busy. There isn't a lot of traffic. They're being used, not by a lot though. And luckily in this footage, they do find a car that they have in question. And that's because this car is driving very late. It's the only car really going down these roads and going down by where Rochelle was found. So they know they need to look at this car, and it's a silver minivan. But what they notice is there's actually damage to the back of the car and a tail light's out. The thing about this minivan is one of the cops recognized this minivan. And the reason why he recognizes it is because when they went to speak to Janet at her house, there was a silver minivan in her driveway with damage to the back of the car and damage to a taillight. So they immediately know something's up with Janet and she's not being truthful. But they've heard about this dynamic of Rochelle being the problem child and Hannah being the golden child. You know, one's perfect, one's damaged. So to them, they need to speak to Hannah because in their mind, like, a mom wouldn't do this to her daughter, but maybe a sister would. So they actually drive to Oberlin College and go and interview Hannah. So when they speak to Hannah, she tells the police that on March 14th, her mom had picked her up from Oberlin so she could go back home and use the internet, which is very strange to me because why wouldn't the college have the internet? And that her mom, Janet, brought her back early morning Sunday. The thing that Hannah was unaware of was that police had already pulled records from the school because you kind of have to badge into the doors to gain access for the safety of the students, of course. So they already knew what time Hannah left and what time she arrived. And they know she's not being honest. So they begin to press her. And because she's free to go, she's not arrested or anything, she gets visibly upset when they start to put pressure on her. And she just leaves the interview. But before she leaves the interview, I love that one of the detectives tell her, like, this isn't going away, Hannah. We'll see you again. And I love that because could you imagine how that's like eating away at someone when you're hiding such a deep secret? hearing them say, like, this isn't gonna go away and I'm gonna see you again. Oh my God. I probably wouldn't be able to eat the whole day. Well, to be honest, I wouldn't even fucking begin to some shit like this, but I don't think I'd be able to eat. So along with, after speaking with Hannah, and then the fact that they interviewed Tommy a few more times, and Tommy's story does not budge. It does not change at all. So there's, and with Hannah's reaction and then the minivan, they're starting to really see that Tommy is just a scapegoat. And there's no point in interviewing him anymore. They know it's not him. So once everything starts to point at Janet or Hannah, they issue a warrant out to have Janet's van searched. When they search the van, what they find is Shelley's DNA and blood inside the van, and this leads them to seizing the vehicle. So when they actually go inside and talk to Janet and tell her, and to provide her the paperwork that they are going to seize the van, that's when she starts to get a little like, okay, wait, hold on, wait a minute, She keeps asking them what they found. And they tell her, like, we're not going to tell you what exactly, but we know she was in the van. And them basically kind of coaxing it, not coaxing because that's the wrong word, but basically telling her, we're seizing the van because we have found something. For sure, it's a definite, there is evidence in the van. That's when she starts to kind of turn a little. But, and this is so frustrating, and you'll see why. She starts asking, before I tell you, I just want to know the kind of trouble that Hannah's going to get into. It's like, damn, like that's the only one you care about, apparently. Just Hannah. You hear about the middle child being like the forgotten child, and Hannah got the opposite, apparently. It's insane. But that's what she keeps asking. Like, okay, I need to know how this is going to affect Hannah. Hannah. Like, what about Paige? Damn. Are you not her mom? Yeah, but she's just concerned about Hannah. Not herself. She's concerned about Hannah. Golden child Hannah. Virgin Mary Hannah. And even at that, they kind of can't answer what the ramifications for her are going to be. Because how deep is Hannah in it? Did she do all of this? Did she only assist? Did she just know and not say anything? Can't really go into specifics because they need specifics first. What happened? And that's when they get the confession out of her. And what Janet tells them is that on March 13th, her and Shelley got in another argument over Shelley moving out. Shelley was visibly upset. I'm sorry, I keep switching between Rochelle and Shelley. Same person, in case you don't know. They keep going back and forth over Rochelle moving out with her son. And Janet is just super pissed at the idea of her grandson leaving her house and living with Rochelle and Tommy. She's not happy about it at all. And she drops a bomb on Rochelle and tells her that because she wants to move out and take her grandson, that she's forcing Janet to file for temporary custody of her son. And rightfully so, Rochelle is pissed. Like, who do you think you are? She's very upset. She's very upset at her mother wants to do this. And really, like, the argument ends, but it doesn't end well. It's not like they've agreed on anything. Rochelle wants to move out, and Janet's threatening to take her son because it's almost as if she feels that's her son. Janet's a fucking nightmare, really. She says that after this argument, she knows that Rochelle is going to take her medication, and this medication makes her very drowsy, and she sees an opportunity. Once she knows that Rochelle is out cold for the night, Janet takes a pillow and begins to smother her. And of course, eventually Rochelle kind of snaps out of it, and she's fighting her mom and fighting to breathe. And this leads them to fall onto the floor. So Janet straddles her and gets back on top of her and begins hitting her head against the floor as she's smothering her to kill her, which explains why police noticed when they found the body and they were doing the autopsy, the medical examiner noticed that there was some damage to the back of the head. Not enough to be like super blunt force, but enough to, assist in the murder. And it was Janet. Once she was dead, Janet just left the body in the room for a whole day, probably figuring out what she was going to do. Then she calls Hannah and tells her that she needs her help moving something. So she goes to pick her up, and when they get back to the house, that's when she tells Hannah that she killed Rochelle and she had no choice because Rochelle was being difficult. And she needs Hannah to help move the body. So they load the body into Janet's van, and that's when they drive out. The thing is, they don't really have a plan on where they're going to dump her. So they're kind of driving anywhere and everywhere, and then they end up at that site because it's on the way back to dropping Hannah off. So they just dumped her next to a snow pile in a construction site. Your own mother. It's just... I don't understand people sometimes. It's just so horrid. Horrid, really. Just gross. The grosser thing about this, though, is when they question Hannah about all of this, Hannah talks about Rochelle, not like that's her sister, like she's some neighbor. She's just the lady that rented from us. It's just so weird of a disconnection, and I really blame Janet for that because it doesn't sound like Janet did anything to do a united thing with her daughters. I think she really focused on Hannah and Paige, and Rochelle was just Rochelle. Bye. I really think that's what happened here, and it's just so gross. With the sentencing, Janet, it doesn't go to trial because Janet pleads guilty, and she pleads guilty for a plea bargain where she gets 19 years to life. And in this plea bargain, she gets Hannah's charges reduced to misdemeanors, which is, sometimes I really hate plea bargains. I really do. It's just like, misdemeanors? Really? Just gross. And then, if that's not sad enough and just tragic enough, Tommy dies in 2018. So now Rochelle's son Cole's an orphan. Like, who does he go with at that point? Does he go with Paige? Does he go with Daryl's mother? It's just tragic. All of this because you wanted to isolate a child for an imperfection when she was perfectly fine. It was just you and your head being shitty. It's like, so my grandma growing up really wanted all of her granddaughters to be pretty, and if you weren't pretty, she was fucking mean. So she was kind of shitty to one of my cousins. And the thing is, my cousin is pretty. But I guess when she was little, she wasn't pretty enough to my grandma. My grandma was just mean, and I feel like that's Janet. I feel like because of this little slight imperfection on the side of Rochelle's face, Janet saw her as like, well, she makes me look bad. She's not pretty, so I'm not going to treat her the way I guess she feels pretty girls deserve to be treated. I don't know. But Janet is still in custody. Thank God. That bitch doesn't need to be let out. She just need to be around her daughters. Her daughters need to develop their own personalities. Primarily Hannah. Because apparently Paige was in the dark out of all of this. So Paige seems to have like a normal relationship with her mom. Or maybe she knew her mom was fucking crazy and distanced herself and went to a different state. But I don't think Hannah will ever be her own person with her. That's for sure. She needs to stay in prison. And Hannah, you're fucked up. That's gross. But, yep, there's one arm done. Looks like a monkey arm, but it's not. But yeah, I apologize for this episode if it's all over the place and for what's going on the other side. I gotta buy a new ring light. Hopefully one that's not as cheap. But yeah. Thank you for joining me. I'll catch you on the next one. Okay, bye!